Today is the 42nd anniversary of the Prophet 5 coming into my life. And I was just giving her a little bit of a cleaning for her birthday. And when I was cleaning around these buttons here for selecting the memory locations, I was reminded of a very funny story from a gig 40 years ago that has to do with button number 7. And I then proceeded to dig around a little bit, and I found this newspaper clipping that my parents saved from that time, with a picture of the three of us in my high school band called En Vogue. An interesting point about this is the guy in the middle, the singer, years later, when I was producing a big hit record in my studio, I brought him in to sing on it, and that was called Con Can. But going back years before that, 40 years ago, we were gigging at this notorious, really rough bar on the wrong side of the tracks in Hamilton called the Bayfront. And we were opening for a couple of really famous punk rock bands from then. The headliners were Teenage Head. And because of the roughness of the scenario, they had chicken wire spread out across the front of the stage so that any beers or other objects that were thrown at us from the crowd would hit against the chicken wire. So it was just that kind of night. And so we were in the middle of our set, and things were going pretty well, and everyone was really wild. And unfortunately, I had a bottle of beer right beside the Prophet 5. And in the festivities that were going on while we were rocking, that beer got knocked over by the singer, Kevin. Quite accidentally, of course. And it spilled right onto the Prophet 5. Well, thankfully, I wasn't too drunk yet. Not that I would have been drunk at the age of 15. Never. But when that happened, my adrenaline kicked in, and everything went into slow motion mode. And in the blink of an eye, I was down on the ground pulling that power plug out. And then I flipped out, of course, and the music stopped. And I grabbed the microphone and proclaimed, "Anybody out there with a hair dryer, get over here quick to the stage." And in those days, everyone had crazy haircuts. And of course, someone had a hair dryer. And so I mopped the beer off and then proceeded to dry it off as good as possible with this hair dryer. And after what seemed like an eternity, especially with a mob, a punk rock club with everyone going crazy, and the music has stopped while I'm busy blow drying the Prophet 5. After about, who knows, half an hour maybe, I finally worked up the courage to try to turn it on. And it worked. And so we finished the gig and everything was wonderful. But now here we are, 40 years later, and I'm cleaning off the Prophet, just dusting it. And then I'm reminded that button number 7 is a little sticky, and it still is, from that beer getting spilled on it. But it still works. So It just takes a few pushes to get it to start working nicely again. So I'm not going to bother playing any music on the Prophet 5 today, but I made a video 2 years ago on the 40th anniversary that you can check out, and every sound, except for the robot voice doing the singing, comes from the Prophet 5, which is still so amazing to me that an analog synthesizer is capable of such a wide palette of sounds. So check it out. Happy birthday.